Let's have a conversation. Let's have a conversation. Yeah. Let's have a conversation. Oh, yeah. Look. Yeah. Hey. Let's have a conversation. Woo. Pick up some gems, life is all you make. Go. We keep it real, we don't talk to fake. Tell them hottest talk show on the net, coming for all the majors. Let's have a conversation. Woo. Pick up some gems, life is all you make. Go. We keep it real, we don't talk to fake. Tell them hottest talk show on the net, coming for all the majors. I think it's time to have a conversation. Let's talk about it. I think it's time to have a conversation. Let's talk about it.
Hello, everyone. This is Michelle Biggs, CEO of My Best Everyday Coaching and Consulting, and the host of Real Conversations with Michelle. Thank you to those of you who are watching this live recording. This is a very important topic, one that I typically would do in May during Mental Health Awareness Month, but there has been so much going on in the world that I know I have talked to a lot of people who are experiencing a lot of different emotions. Thought it was a good time to have this conversation. If you follow me, you know I've also shared that this year is feeling similar to what I felt in 2020, where, like I said, people are going through a myriad of emotions right now. So welcome to this podcast and this series titled Strive to Thrive. And building resilience is one of those things that we do need to make sure we have a hold of if we're wanting to accomplish our goals during the year, right? We want to make sure that we're good emotionally, mentally, spiritually, and physically. So for those of you who are new to my platform, I started this in 2020. And I am a retired human resources professional, 37 years in the business. And I started my business in 2017. But I am a career and executive coach and a master certified life coach. So this topic is very near and dear to my heart. And I'm so blessed to have my special guest joining me. And I'll have her introduce herself in a minute. This is an educational platform, y'all. So like all educational platforms, please do your homework to make sure that what we do talk about is something that, and if there's something that you want to implement, that it makes sense for you, do your homework. Okay. So without further ado, let me bring up my guest, Keshia.
Hi.
Hi. Why don't you tell the audience a little bit about yourself?
So first, thank you so much, Michelle, for inviting me on. And I'm so excited to have this conversation with you and all of those that are joining. So my name is Keshia Golding-Cooper. I am currently a retired as well educator. I did 25 years in our New Jersey educational system. And I am currently a licensed mental health counselor or a therapist in New Jersey. And I also have my own separate consulting company called KGC Consulting, where I do professional developments and presentations and workshops and speaking engagements. But at the heart of it, I am a mother, I am a wife, I am a daughter, and I am someone who genuinely cares deeply for helping and supporting others. And now I'm able to do it on my own terms.
Yes.
Yeah, we'll talk about that. But on my own terms, in my own way, bringing my energy. And I'm also an adjunct faculty. I'm an adjunct professor as well. So I do a lot of things, but at the core of me is really this eagerness and this desire to help and support everyone as they navigate their life.
Yeah. And I know we met probably about a year or two ago. Mm-hmm. My former colleague, who I didn't know was your friend, introduced us. Yes. And we just clicked. And once I found that you launched your company, I was like, okay, let me see, what can we do? How can we partner? So I saw a post where you talked about this very topic. Mm-hmm. You had presented this very topic with a group of individuals. So we know it is a hot topic that's out there. Yeah. So thank you for creating some time in your schedule to join me.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So let's dig right into the questions. So first question, what is resilience and why is it essential during uncertain and challenging times?
So Perfect way to start, right? So we've heard being resilient and resiliency and what is this? What is this? What is this? Here is the KGC simple way to do it. It's something that we have been doing for the most part all of our lives in different ways, and now
Yeah.
we're going to put a name to it and really identify it, right? So it's really the ability to adapt, to recover, and to grow. It's really doing this in the face of adversity, and we know we all have faced adversity. You know,
Yes.
if we want to go deep, we have faced
Yes.
adversity
Right.
for centuries, and that's
Yeah.
really what resiliency is. And it really helps to allow people to navigate their life,
Yeah.
and it's essential.
It is. It is. And especially during challenging times, we can get
Hmm.
into a space where we can get stuck. And
Hmm.
it's important for us not to stay in that place for a very long time, right?
Hmm.
So how can you really bounce back and get back on track
Hmm.
so that you can thrive, right? In the face of adversity, so you're able to
Hmm.
thrive, right?
Yeah. So, the interesting thing about it is that a majority of people, they're able to bounce back, right? They may
Mhm.
have a time in their life where something happens and throws them off track or off kilter. But something within them innately, they're able to say, you know what, this is what's in my control. I have this whole thing that I do about the sphere of control, what's in my control, what's out of my control, and what is it that I can do about what I can do, right?
Yeah.
So being able to recognize it and being able to support yourself through it is amazing. Then
Yeah.
there's a group of people that I work with, right, as a therapist that are stuck. And that feel that they need additional outside support. Not that we all can't use support, but they need that extra layer of specific intentional support to really move through it. And we want to think about resiliency as, as a muscle that we utilize, and we need to continue to build on it, and we need to continue to keep it as strong as possible, right? How do we do that? Self-care. And
Right.
self-care looks different, I'm sure, and we'll talk about that. But it's really important to recognize when we're even fatigued through it, right?
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
I don't know who is not fatigued through all
Absolutely.
through all that's
Absolutely.
happening. And
Absolutely.
that's really where it centers.
Yeah, and that piece that you mentioned about what's in your control and what's not in your
Hmm.
control, that is something that I practice even in the coaching space as
Hmm.
well, right? Because a lot of times we can get so caught up in things that really we cannot control. Being able to assess that first and foremost is
Hmm.
so important in terms of moving forward, right? We're going to
Yeah.
talk a little bit about that.
Hmm.
So let's elephant in the room. Let's talk about how can individuals identify when political or social stress impacts their mental health? Because we know we're in the middle of that right now as we speak, no matter what side you're on, right?
Correct.
Yeah,
Correct.
yeah.
So, some signs will include increased irritability,
Hmm.
increased anxiety, and anxiety is something that can manifest within us physically, right? Those that tenseness, that those palpitations, right? Those are some of the ways that we can sense it. If you're no longer really interested in doing what you used to like to do, right? And although that could range from not wanting to continue to work out to not wanting to get out of bed. So there's that wide spectrum of it. But when you think about identifying, what the political impact and stress, it's really taking a moment to check in with yourself.
Hmm.
Hopefully, you have a circle of people. We're fortunate to be in the best organization in the world, Delta Theta Sorority Incorporated. So
Yes,
you may
ma'am.
have you may have a circle of your sister friends, your brother friends, your people, right? Maybe you have a spouse that you can say, hey, check in with me. You have that friend. We always say check in on your strong friends. So if you
Right.
notice that your friends aren't their normal self, whether, believe it or not, maybe they're not engaging on social media like they used to. Maybe they're not
Hmm.
engaging with you like they used to. Check in on
Hmm.
them. Those are some of the ways that you can identify when it's really stressing you out. And yes, I know we said the elephant in the room, although we love elephants, but yes, the
Right.
elephant in the room is what is really what's happening now in our
Right.
society. You know, are you glued to the TV? Every time you hear something, do your shoulders raise? Does your brow, start to shrivel and frown? Like those are ways that you can identify it. So I
Yeah.
encourage everyone, to take a moment to even now check in,
Yeah.
check in with yourself.
Yeah. And I know even my circle of friends, because I know I'm not posting and
Hmm.
you and I both being business people, we know it's important to put our stuff out there so people know we're still there. But I found myself just really limiting the amount of time I'm spending. And I've had
Hmm.
people call me and say, Michelle, are you okay? I'm like, yeah, I'm
Hmm.
fine. Right now, I'm just protecting my peace right now and protecting my peace. One of the ways I protect my peace is just turning certain things off,
Hmm.
right? So being able to do that is extremely important. So what are some, and you kind of just talked about one thing we can
Hmm.
do to set ourselves up
Hmm.
uh, for managing and building resilience. What are some other effective strategies for managing fear, anxiety, or frustration
Hmm.
that is what we're dealing with in this world today? And let's talk about the fact we also have people who are losing jobs, right?
Correct.
Big, big, big time, more than we have seen in the past, right?
Hmm.
And it's being very visible. It's very
Yeah.
visible, right? So let's talk through that a little bit.
So let's talk through that. So first of all, the fear is real, right?
Yeah.
What's happening is real. So I don't want to minimize the impact that what's happening has on certain individuals. But I also not but because when you say but, you cancel out the first half of the sentence.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
However, I also want to encourage everyone to take a moment to think about the controllables, right? There are things within our sphere of control that we really should be focusing on. How are we taking a moment to take care of ourselves? Right? What does that look like for you? Because what it looks like for you could be different from what it looks like for me. And, sometimes it should be.
Right.
But it's really understanding that, and I keep saying control. There's that poem that, what I can and can't control and difference to know the two.
Mm-hmm.
It's really important for us to hone in on that. And being mindful to set boundaries.
Yes. Big time. More than
Maybe it's
ever.
maybe it's saying no as a whole sentence with a full
Right.
stop,
Right. Right.
right? And it's okay. Realizing that FOMO, that fear of missing out, what are you really missing out on by saying no?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, you may be missing out on something that's happening outside, but then give yourself that time back,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
right? So being mindful of boundaries, being mindful of what you need even physically to maintain. How is your sleep hygiene?
Right.
How is your eating, your nutrition, right? I don't say the word diet, but how is your
Right.
nutrition? Are you
Right.
hydrating?
Yeah.
Are you taking time to do things like exercise? And I'm not talking about, because some people know, Keshia, I used to run track. I love all those things. I love sweat. Sweat is good for me.
Yeah.
But if
Yeah.
that's not your thing, that's okay. But you know what is good too for you? A little good old fashioned vitamin D, if you can, to go outside and do one of the things we call grounding, right?
Mm-hmm.
To go
Mm-hmm.
outside if you can, or even if you can't go outside because weather where you are may not be conducive, open the blinds and just be still.
Yeah. And Keisha, one of the things too, and that be still part is important
Hmm.
because one of the things I've done is I have a sitting room that I've cleared out. It's also my studio, but just being able to sit down and just meditate,
Hmm.
maybe even read the Bible, right, during this time, but doing something where you can still your mind is
Hmm.
important
Hmm.
because a lot of times our mind is going so many different places that being able to just um, be still is important and just block everything on. That means turning off everything,
Hmm.
right?
And if I can really share with that, being still and sitting still for some is not their thing, and that's okay.
Yeah.
So maybe your version, someone's version of being still and blocking out is going for a walk, is listening to
Yes.
music, is
Yes.
dancing. So
Yes.
whatever meditation is for you. It's
Yeah.
not always that, that yoga pose.
Right.
That may be for
Right. Not
some.
yoga. Right.
That may be for some.
Yeah.
But dancing, like having a jovial conversation,
Mm-hmm. Releasing
laughing.
tension. Ways that you can release tension.
Correct.
Yeah, absolutely.
Correct.
Could be a bath. Sitting in the bathtub. Relaxing.
Or a shower. I'm not a
Or a
bad
shower.
person.
Yeah, I know.
That's a whole nother
Yeah, that's a whole nother conversation.
that's a whole nother thing, right? But listen,
Yeah.
I love a good hot shower.
Yes, me too.
I love some aromatherapy, right? It doesn't have to be the fancy, expensive stuff, right? The scrubs, and just for some people, it's the feeling of cleansing yourself.
Yes. Yeah.
Right. So connecting with, getting some touch from a loved one.
Mm-hmm.
We don't
spending time with loved ones during this time.
Correct.
I know for me last year, well, when I retired, right?
Mm-hmm.
But what I did last year, because my family does not live in the same city and town where I live. Matter of fact, they're 8 hours away. I'm in North Carolina, they're in New York. But just being able to spend time with my family was just so relaxing for me, right? So let's get to the next question. How can individuals remain informed without becoming overwhelmed or emotionally drained by the news? What are some of the things you recommend?
That's a heavy one. When you sent that over to me, I was like, how do they remain informed? And I'm a note taker, so my people out there, if you see me looking down, I need to get everything down here.
And I'm looking too.
Yeah. So some of the things that, I just edged out is really curating your sources, reliable, right? For some people, Facebook may not be a source for you that you need right now.
Yeah.
So curating reliable sources, because fear is real, right? And that person that is at the White House is a fear monger. Like, they want us to be scared.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you need to do where you still feel that you're being informed, right? But it's in a controllable way. Because again, what you can and can't control, you can control where you get your information from.
Yes.
So is it a reliable podcast? Is it like a NPR? Like, what is it that you can do? So you want to curate your sources, right? So you want to balance those news networks with, all of that hype, right? Set limits. I actually, have a client that recently, when we were talking, they weren't able to sleep because they were scrolling at night, which I don't recommend for anyone. I do my best, right? You should not be scrolling to the best of your ability. That's my fine print, before you go to bed, because you don't give your mind a time to turn off, right? But
if you're going to bed with that information in your head,
correct, then you wonder why you wake up and you don't feel rested.
Exactly.
Because you're not able to hit REM. Whole nother conversation. But set your limits for the exposure, right? So put a time on it. If you have children or young ones around, we always say you got 30 minutes on the TV, you got 20 minutes on your iPad. Set yourself some time limit where yes, you're getting the information, but it's not overwhelming. And then there's a 3-to-1 rule.
Okay.
Right?
Say more.
3-to-1. For every piece of negative news that you may encounter, seek out 3 pieces of positive oriented news. Right? So you try to have the positive influences that you're absorbing outweigh the negative influences. And you can take that 3-to-1 rule in a lot of other aspects of your life.
Yeah.
And then the last one that I jotted down was really know when to step away. But that's also what boundaries and setting your limits. You have to work on, be mindful of saying have to. It would be good to work on knowing when to step away. That's also part of that no as a whole sentence. That's also part of stepping away, right? setting boundaries. So those are the main things that I jotted down, right? So curate your sources, setting limits, the 3-to-1 rule. For every one piece of negative news, try to find 3 pieces of positive, reputable news, because
Yeah.
now he wants to control who's in the media, right? That's following him.
Yeah. Yeah.
So who are your reputable sources? And then knowing when to step away is really important.
Yeah. And I find for myself, what I've been doing more of
Mm-hmm.
late is finding those feel good stories to
Mm-hmm.
watch.
Mm-hmm.
You know, just to give myself a break,
Correct.
right? Just to give myself a break. So,
And
uh,
you know what else you could do to give yourself a break?
yeah.
What's your like guilty pleasure TV show?
That's what I'm saying.
Now, for some, maybe listen, I like Food Network, although people know I don't cook, but I like
Mm-hmm.
watching Food Network.
HGV for sure, right?
Something that's not going to elicit this negative sensation in you,
Right.
right?
Right.
Unless you don't like cooking, then don't watch Food Network. But finding
Mm-hmm.
other positive things for you to absorb is always great.
So, what daily habits or mindset shifts can help build emotional resilience?
So there's a meme out there. Oh my gosh, I can't remember her name. And she says when she wakes up, she looks in the mirror and says, "I'm a bad da, 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 da,"
Mm-hmm.
right? What type of positive self-talk are you saying to yourself? What thoughts are you having in your mind about yourself? Again, what
Mm-hmm.
you can and can't control, right? Are you giving yourself grace?
That's big. That's huge.
And guess what? I get checked on it by my people all the time.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Are you giving yourself that grace, right?
Mm-hmm.
Are you practicing gratitude, right? Identify what small wins. You woke up. That's a huge win, first of all,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? Um,
And then
and
gratitude, let me speak to that
mhm,
gratitude piece because that's
mhm,
something I've talked to. I'm part of a prayer group on Sundays, and that's one of the
mhm,
things that we talked about is
mhm,
with everything that's going on in the world, just jotting down whether you do it daily, weekly, just
mhm,
something that you're grateful for,
mhm,
right? Because if when we start practicing that, we'll realize too, everything is not necessarily doom and gloom,
mhm,
right? There's some things that we can really appreciate
mhm.
and start to focus on that's again not connected to all this other stuff that's out there, right?
Correct.
Yeah. Go ahead, finish.
No, it's
Keisha, I
okay.
don't
It's
know if your
okay.
paper is by your microphone because we can hear it really, really loud.
Oh,
So just want to, yeah.
my apologies. My
You good, hon.
apologies. Okay. But again, with the gratitude and the small wins, recognizing what those are. And are you setting intentions for yourself, right? So
Yeah.
coming from the corporate world, identifying SMART goals, specific, measurable,
Yes.
attainable, right? Realistic and timely. What type of SMART goals are you intentionally setting for yourself that falls within the realm of what you can control, that you can then, as you're making progress to, recognize and give yourself credit for,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So, again, those small wins, being intentional, giving yourself gratitude, giving yourself grace. And
Yeah.
guess what? Being okay with not being okay. But if you're not okay for too long, and it's
That's
and
it.
it's impacting your ability to function on a daily basis,
Mm-hmm.
reach out for some support and
Mm-hmm.
assistance,
Yeah.
right?
And Keisha, one of the things that's resonating with this conversation, and I know I say it a lot, and you are definitely saying it a lot,
Mm-hmm.
is controlling the controllables,
Mm-hmm.
right? We get so stuck with um, getting frustrated with things that are really out of our control. It doesn't mean that you don't have a reaction to it. But again, how can you reel yourself back and say, okay, what can I do so that I don't get myself caught up into this emotional tailspin,
Mm-hmm.
right? So again, I'm hearing you say that often. So
Mm-hmm.
it's so important, so important.
And
Yeah.
it's reminding yourself, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so having spent so much time in the school system, right? That 25 years, I look back and I see things like fire drills, right? Or like these other type of safety drills.
Yeah.
And while faculty, while students and even parents like, why are we doing this all the time? Why do you have to do it? When you do it, when the fire or the emergency is not happening, the thought process is that if and when it happens, you know what to do. You know where your
Mm-hmm.
exits are. You know
Mm-hmm.
how to respond if you're in this part of the building, that part of the building. What if we took that to our everyday, right? If we're reminding ourselves when we're in a good place of what you can and can't control, making it a habit, the positive self talk, so that if and when you get in that space, in that place and time, theoretically, you'll
Mm-hmm.
remember how to respond. But if you're
Right.
waiting for that emergency, for that stressor, for that moment, and you're going to be panicking.
Yeah.
So even now, as you're listening to this and you're thinking like, what is she talking about? Think about one or two things that are specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and timely that you can incorporate in your everyday stream of thought that's positive, so that if and when you get in that tailspin, you can remind yourself of what you've been saying all along.
Yeah. Yeah. One of the things that I've talked about, it might have been in my first episode of Strive to Thrive, which was Eat to Win. But one of the things we
Hmm.
talked about, you kind of tapped into this a little bit.
Hmm.
Um, Neuroscience call it body budget,
Hmm.
where you're looking at your everything that you're engaged in, right? Mind, body, spirit, but
Hmm.
keeping track of what are the things that are causing you to respond in a certain way, and
Hmm.
how are you reacting to that. So to your point of, are you not sleeping? How are you eating? What are you doing?
Hmm.
So that you can kind of step back and say, okay, what are some of the things again that I can control? Let me get this in check so that I can be better mentally, spiritually, emotionally, physically.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. So important.
Yeah. And
Um,
it's if I can, when you talk about like that balance and we call it like, what's your trigger? What are your triggers?
yes.
Right? What are your triggers? So if you know that watching a certain news channel triggers you, or
Yeah.
doing something triggers you, then do your best to, I'm not going to say cut it cold turkey, because to me that's unrealistic, but start
Mhm.
to wean off of it and start
Yeah.
to recognize what it is that's eliciting that response in you,
Mm.
right? If it was a medical thing, and you're having some issues with your GI tract, with your stomach and things, your doctor will say to monitor and to record it.
Right.
We are so more comfortable in doing that with the physical things, but we don't always want to apply that theory or that methodology to our emotional state.
Mhm.
That's where journaling is helpful as well.
Right. Yeah. Very
And
important.
very important. And journaling doesn't
Mhm.
have to be a whole, thesis or doctoral dissertation. Today I felt,
Yeah.
tomorrow I want to feel.
Mhm.
Just
Yes.
a
Going
thought.
back to tracking,
Hmm.
tracking your activities so you know kind of what's going on and what's causing you to respond the way that you're responding. Right.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So, how can individuals manage challenging discussions with family or friends when they're in this space that we're in right now?
So I don't play poker, so it's written all over my face. That's
Mhm.
that song was made for me.
Right.
Um, it all goes back to one thing: know your boundaries.
Yeah.
Know your boundaries, right? So if you know your boundaries, if you know what you're comfortable in, what you can and can't control, because you can't control what anyone else says or does.
No.
What you can control is how you respond to what
Right.
others say and do. So if you're engaging or you find yourself in these situations where those conversations are coming up, know your boundaries. And here's the other thing. Remember the fire drill? You don't necessarily have to wait till it happens to think about how you're going to respond to it. So we're having a conversation now about it, right? So decide what conversations you're willing to have and what topics you want to avoid. Also, instead of it, back in the day, kids learned I statements. When I was school counselor, we talked about I statements, making sure that it's coming from I feel that. Right. So instead of the you, because anytime you say you and you're putting
Put
it
the
out
person
on
on the
someone
defense.
else.
Yeah.
There
Put
it
the
is.
person in defense. Yeah. Yeah.
So instead of saying you wrong, and guess in your mind they may be dead wrong, I see it differently.
Yeah.
I see it differently.
Yeah.
Also, if possible, recognizing, and if you're able to, recognizing when it's time to walk away.
Yeah.
Because as you mentioned earlier, protecting your peace. Because here's the other thing. We teach people how to treat us.
Say that again.
We teach people how to treat us. Eleanor D. Roosevelt had a quote out there, and I used to have it in my office, when I was in school, and it was on my wall. No one can make you feel inferior without your consent. When I worked with kids, and even now in my clinical practice, no one can make you feel whatever without your consent. Your feelings are you or yours.
Yeah.
And even if, but I can't do that because this is how it's always been. That's Totwati.
Right.
That's the way we've always done it. If that's the way you've always done it, how has it been helpful to you? Because saying protect my peace sounds good. What are you doing?
Right. Right. And it's almost, and I say this all the time, quote, doing the same thing, but expecting different results.
That's the definition of, they say that's the definition of insanity.
Yeah.
Doing the same thing, expecting different results is a definition of insanity. Right. And it's hard. It's hard to come off and come out of that cycle. It's hard, but it's not impossible. I always say the only thing that's impossible is for me to, naturally grow to be really 5'1", legit, like on my driver's license.
Yeah. Yeah. Good stuff. I don't know if anybody has any questions out there. If you do, please post them. And we'll get to those questions as well. What role does community support play in resilience, and how can individuals find or establish strong support networks?
So we also want to be mindful of having plentiful thing or people as our support network, right? You want to be mindful who you're aligning yourself with, what you're aligning yourself with. If you have blissfully, we have a network of amazing, dynamic, intelligent, beautiful, brilliant women in our network.
Yes.
Of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated.
Yes,
but
ma'am.
even within that doesn't mean that everyone has to be in your closer network. Right. So you want to be mindful on making those connections and having them strong. And you choose who's in that community for you, right? You want to do your best to find like-minded individuals. I say hello, excuse me, please, and thank you to everyone.
Right.
I don't necessarily have that deeper level of conversation and or connection with everyone.
Yeah.
Because having that level of discernment of who you need in your space. And here's the other thing. Who do you need in your space at this time?
Very important. And Keshia, I was telling another friend this morning, we were talking about friendships. And one of the conversations is exactly what you were talking about, right? Knowing who's in your circle and understanding that there's different levels of friendships, right? There's some people who are going to be on level 10 about all this stuff. that you cannot be around that kind of level 10 spirit,
Come on now.
you need to reel yourself back, right?
Mm-hmm.
But understanding what each friend brings to you, your support circle, what they bring to you to help you in this space as
So,
well.
so I think of it like I'm visual, right? I'm learning at my age now to accept the fact that my learning style, that I've always been a visual learner, right? And having the best symbol in the world, a pyramid, helps.
Yes.
Right. So so let's think about that. Let's think about a pyramid, right? The bottom is very broad, right? It's big, that base. And that's where a lot of people are, right?
Yeah.
So I belong to a lot of organizations, Delson Baser Incorporated, Jack and Jill of America. I'm this, I'm that. I have, school, work, all over. That's everybody. Everybody's down there. Then you have the next layer of some people from each of those areas, and this is actually what I talk about with my children, my teenagers. Some people from
Something
those,
they have to learn. Something they have to learn. Good to learn it early.
they move up, but
Yeah.
not everyone moves up. Doesn't mean that I'm not gracious, I'm not courteous, I'm not compassionate, I'm not kind. But everyone doesn't move up, and that's okay, because guess what? As I'm constructing my pyramid, someone else is constructing theirs as well. And I may not move up, and I got to be okay with that. And then you have that third, that tippy top. It's also a reflection of Maslow's hierarchy of needs, where that tippy top, that transcendence in Maslow's hierarchy of needs. I literally just did a lecture on this before I got on.
I'm like, you pulling some deep stuff back, girl.
But that Maslow hierarchy of needs, that tippy top, that's small for a reason.
Yeah.
And if those of you who know Maslow's hierarchy of needs says that not everyone transcends to that self-actualization, not everyone in those different levels of your pyramid of your life transcend, they earn, deserve, because you're the hottest commodity out there.
Well, and it goes back to setting boundaries, right? And one of the things I shared with a friend, we were on for like 2.5 hours this morning. It was a good conversation. But I was telling her, again, even for me, on Sundays now, I set this boundary in terms of who I'm engaging with on Sundays, is protecting my peace in terms of how I engage on Sundays. And everybody's not getting my time on Sundays. They're just not, right? It's really, where can I expend my energy? And understanding, like, my family knows when they can connect with me, how they can connect with me. But talk about hierarchy of needs. Again, it goes with the friendships too, right? Yeah.
And that's okay. And it's something, I've had to learn, even as, as an adult, and being in these different organizations and in these different groups, and like, wait a minute, I didn't get invited. What does that mean? And then seeing the post, what does that mean? Then I had to say, Keshia, slow down, reel it back, reel it back, reel it back, reel it back, reel it back. That's self-talk, reel it back.
Yeah.
What it means is it's just not for you, and that's okay.
Right.
And I also say, within all of this, find something, again, control, find something positive that you can be passionate about that relies on no one else but yourself. Whatever it is, reading, dancing, I like to exercise. Find something that also, it goes with all of this, building resiliency, building some self-care, some love for yourself, pouring into yourself, finding that thing. And we have busy schedules, but trying your best to find that thing, that time. And maybe it is to be social. Maybe it is that monthly check-in with the girls or with your crew. I love my second Saturdays when I'm able to go, I call it Sisterhood Saturdays, and I'm able to be with my sorors in chapter meeting.
Right.
It doesn't always mean that I'm hanging out with everybody after, but I enjoy that.
Yeah. Picking your circle
Mm-hmm.
of people who actually make you feel good, right?
Correct.
Yeah, who
Correct.
make you feel good. Let's talk a little bit about activism, because we know it's very big right now, or
Mm-hmm.
not, depending on how you want to get engaged.
Mm-hmm.
How does that help improve your mental health, mental well-being?
So what's interesting is that, there's this push that, or on social media, and I talked about this when I did my engagement with HelloFresh a couple of weeks ago, and saying that, Black women specifically are on sabbatical, right? We're supposed to step back.
Mm,
We're on sabbatical. We're not doing. Okay. Doesn't mean that you have to stop in total.
right.
Maybe honing it in on controllable, smaller initiatives
Yeah.
within your community, right? That empowerment through action, right? Finding ways to satisfy, wanting to be actively to be engaged with what's
Mm-hmm.
happening, but
Mm-hmm.
that you can control, that won't spin you down different rabbit holes, right?
Yeah.
Something
Yeah.
that you can do to create a sense of purpose with those like-minded people.
Yeah. Yeah. Because one of the things is everything is not for everybody. And I just had this conversation with another one of my former colleagues, friends. Some people, yeah, going out protesting is good. Other people, they may do some letter writing or something like
Mhm.
that. But do what you feel like is going to help you put you in a better headspace for you. Like you feel
Correct.
like you're doing something,
Because
right?
again, it's all about knowing your capacity and being okay with everything is not for you,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
And not always having to feel like you have to do something, because you don't always
Mhm.
have to do something.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah, and for me, I mean, even when I think about, how I started this podcast, it was out of a need and desire when we were all home.
Mhm.
The world had shut down, right?
Mhm.
2020. And this podcast was a way for me to reach out to people,
Mhm.
right? And it really made me feel good about how I was contributing at that particular point in time. So,
And it also can be, again, small and local. Maybe it's within your home,
yeah,
right? If you're in a home with other people, families, maybe there's something that you all can do together,
yeah,
right? Maybe
yeah,
it's finding something on the local scale.
yeah.
But again, knowing your capacity, doing your best. And I say best to not have FOMO, like,
Mhm.
that fear of missing out. Am I not doing enough? That's a whole other
Mhm.
thing.
Mhm.
If you put your mindset on, if I'm not doing enough, you're never going to do enough.
Yeah.
Because what is that enough? And guess what? Your partner, your friend, your soror, your chapter friend, whomever, your neighbor, someone at school, at work, they may be doing this, and this. That doesn't mean that you have to.
Yeah. Yeah. Again, setting boundaries, going
Setting
back to that.
boundaries, setting
Yeah.
boundaries.
Yeah. So Keisha, someone who's really struggling, you kind of
Mhm.
tapped this earlier, but really want you to go into this because there's this thing also about, praying, right? But you can pray and also go to therapy, right? So when should someone really seek out professional help?
So thank you for that, right? So
Mhm.
you can pray, absolutely pray, right? But guess what? I'm gonna be a
It's
little
important to pray.
I'm to whatever it is that you choose to do. I'm gonna be a
Yeah.
little sarcastic with my
Yeah.
Christian people, with those, God made
Yeah.
me. God made therapists as well. God made
He
therapists.
made all of us,
He made all of us in his likeness and image, right?
right?
And the way that I am able to help others, especially in our Black and Brown communities, to really conceptualize it is that if you if you were diabetic. If you're a diabetic, you would go to the doctor, you would get your insulin, you would do whatever it is that you needed to do, because it's that tangible, physical, like something that can be measured in the traditional sense that we're all accustomed to. If you are struggling and it's been, they say 14 or more days of not being able to do things that you could normally do in order to do your activities of daily living and being able to navigate your world, reach out.
Yeah.
And it is okay, because guess what? You're not the only one. This therapist got a therapist. But here's the other thing. I can't be everyone's therapist.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's okay. It is okay. And a couple of other like Keshia-isms. I'm Planet Fitness. I'm judgment free.
Right.
I'm not here to judge. And ethically, therapists, we are not there to judge.
Right. Yeah.
So some of the same principles: come as you are, come as you are.
Right.
Hoping to leave better than you came. Hoping to leave better than you came.
Yeah.
Finding meaning in what's happening in your life, based on, for those who pray. And I don't know the Bible, so don't ask me what scripture.
Yeah.
I do log in and listen every Sunday, right?
Right.
But I find things in the literature that I read, in the theories that I've studied, in my supervision, in just ways to support those that are coming to me. So just thinking about that, you're not alone. Small steps matter. And it's okay to not be okay.
Yeah.
It is. And be kind to yourself.
Yeah. Give yourself grace is important. Right.
Yeah.
And I just want to touch upon a little bit, because even in the space I am in terms of coaching, I do like to make sure I'm clear in terms of coaching versus therapy. Right. Coaching is really for those who are ready to move forward and ready to set some action steps. Right. When it goes beyond that and there's some deep rooted things that may be going on, then I will always refer people to a therapist, right? Because at that point, it's beyond my expertise, and want to make sure that you're going to the right. So it's important to make sure you're going to the right person for assistance.
Correct. And even with that, when you and I spoke not too long ago about preparing for this session, and I shared, like, I worked with a coach.
Yeah.
I worked with a coach to help me actualize what I'm doing now professionally, and how to align, where my passion lies, and, doing some of those assessments that are different from clinical, therapeutic assessments.
Yeah.
Right. Some more, Myers-Briggs, and some more personality, and what is it that I would find would be great. Shout out to Toy. Shout out to Toy. Thank you, Toy.
Yeah, it definitely is. As I told you, definitely helps enhance what you're doing, for sure.
Correct. Now, therapy, is going beneath to really take the time to, we know that box, right? We call it the Pandora's box, right? So it's really unpacking what your drives and motivations have been, right? So it is a bit of looking back, but moving forward, right?
Yeah.
I say that your lived experiences have dictated to you how to live thus far. We're going to look at some of those lived experiences, make some connections to support you in your progress moving forward.
Yeah, because a lot of times your lived experiences can also be triggers for how you respond, right? Which is why it's so important from a therapist's perspective to understand what that is. You help to bring that together for people.
Correct. And making that connection. And just like you said about knowing your capacity, a ethical therapist like myself, I also know my capacity.
Yeah.
Right. I'm very upfront with my clients in saying that
I'm not for everyone, and that's okay. I mean, I don't say it like that quite,
Right, right. But
but
it's important. It's important to know. You got to pick. I tell people it's just like going to the doctor. You want a doctor. You want to pick someone
Mhm.
who you feel comfortable with. And to your point, I may not be the best thing for everybody, and I'm okay with that.
I am,
Right.
because as I started when we opened up, my whole goal, right? What really drives me to do what I'm doing now, the way that I'm doing it, is that I
Hmm.
really want others to be well. And if
Yeah.
that means that I am not that person to support you through your process, I'm
Hmm.
okay with that. What
Yeah.
I'm not okay with is you feeling that you're beholden to me. You
Right.
are not. And if you
Right.
are engaging, if you're listening and you're watching and you're with a therapist that you don't feel is a good fit for you, that's okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because
It's
guess what?
important to speak up. It's important to speak
If
up.
hopefully if your medical doctor wasn't giving you what you needed, you'd research and find another one.
Absolutely.
Sometimes in therapy, and with medical doctors, we feel that that person knows us so well, and sometimes they know you too well that they're missing your blind spots.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah.
Well, thank you, Keisha. This has been a great conversation. Like I
Oh
said,
my gosh.
when you and I spoke, I told you I'm like you, just passionate
Yeah.
about um, how can I support people where they are and the times that we're in right now. I just felt like this was a topic that was worth
Mhm.
revisiting
Yeah.
um, again. And hopefully with the goal that someone will hear something that they'll be able to apply in support of themselves or even in support of other people. Right? Go ahead.
There it is. Don't be selfish in what you learn. Share.
Yeah.
Sharing
Yeah.
is caring, right?
Absolutely.
Share.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Absolutely. Keisha, what else do you have going on? Tell
Oh
the people
boy, tell the
what else you have going
people.
on. Yeah.
So, what do I have going on? So now I'm in Colorado. Actually, I'm in a hotel room. One
Mm-hmm.
of the things that I've started as well is I'm an adjunct faculty, so I've got that going on. I teach at the university called Naropa University, and this semester I'm teaching counseling human relations. So I do that
Mm-hmm.
under. That's more so just under Keisha, right?
Mm-hmm.
My main two buckets are my therapy, right? That you can find my profile on Psychology Today. You can
Mm-hmm.
read a little bit more about me, and that's also a wonderful resource for those that may be looking for a therapist. I didn't say
Mm-hmm.
that. There's Psychology Today. There's Therapy for Black Girls. Call your insurance provider as well,
Yeah. Absolutely.
and they will give you a list. But engines like or platforms like Psychology Today, it allows you to navigate through. Do you want a male, a female? What their specialties are and things of that nature. So that's Keisha the therapist. Um, Keshia Golding-Cooper also has Keshia Golding-Cooper Consulting or KGC Consulting LLC, which is where I do the professional development and the training.
Mm-hmm.
I said again a couple of weeks ago, I was fortunate to work with HelloFresh and their employee resource group. They still got their DEI group.
Okay.
So
Okay.
I did building resilience in the face of adversity, and actually coming up this upcoming week, I will be working with the school district and supporting their school counselors on how to support their students. I have two
Mm-hmm.
professional developments there. I have another one with a township that I'll be going in working with their government officials on the importance of
Mm-hmm.
mental health,
Mm-hmm.
because I'm also a certified youth mental health first aid trainer. So
Okay.
I provide that service as well. And what I'm doing with this township and their government officials is helping them further understand the importance of mental health and how it's impacting our community and what
Mm-hmm.
they can do to build out their resources. So those are
Okay.
some of the main things I have coming up. I'm always looking for opportunities to share what I have because I feel
Right.
that God has blessed me with the capacity to share out, and it's
Mm-hmm.
time. It's my time to
Yeah.
take
Yeah.
it on the move.
And your therapy practice, are you able to do virtual?
Yes,
Anyone could call
yes,
you or?
yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
so when you go on my Psychology Today profile, it gives you an opportunity to reach out to me. The practice I'm under is called Cherry Blossom Healing in New Jersey. So if you are in New Jersey or your company is based in New Jersey, then I'm able to provide that therapeutic service.
Right.
I do telehealth as well as in person.
Okay.
One more thing. I also be starting next week. I'm going to be working with an organization to provide support for the offenders of domestic violence,
Okay.
to work
All
on
right.
breaking the cycle.
Breaking the
So
cycle.
I'm really excited about that. I'll post more about that on my different social media handles once that goes off, gets off the ground. So I'm looking forward to really expanding what I can do and just having more opportunities to support everyone out there.
Good, good. And what I'm going to do, Keshia, I will make
Mhm.
sure that I post your website,
Yep.
your link tree so that people can
Yep.
find you as well. But I thank you for joining me for this very important discussion. So glad I was able to partner with you, and just know I'll be tapping on your shoulder again.
I'm here,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I cannot let us end without saying a sincere thank you. Thank
Oh,
you for holding space for me about a year and a half ago
mm,
when I was going through that space and that time of what's next for me. And
yeah,
I reached out to a lot of people, and a few reached back out, and
mhm,
we were connected by a mutual friend, by Mary, and
yeah,
I really have to thank you for holding that space for me then, and then checking in on me along the way, and now providing me the platform to partner with you. So
yes.
you are absolutely amazing.
Oh, thank you, Keshia. Thank you. Don't make me tear up. Don't make me tear up. But thank
Cry,
you.
girl,
Thank you.
crying.
That's what,
It's not a session unless you. I'm just joking.
yeah, but that's what, that's what we do, right? We're there for each
Yep.
other. So I appreciate you so
Yes,
much.
ma'am.
So I'm
Yes,
gonna put
ma'am.
you in the green room and I'm gonna
Okay.
sign off. So y'all, thank you for those of you who tuned in. Know that if you know someone who was unable to watch this particular episode tonight, that they can leverage the same links that both Keshia and I posted to view it in replay. Okay. So, and now I know Facebook now has this rule 30 days, they'll take it down. So, but definitely go ahead and share. And like I said, I'll post Keshia's contact information next month. Strive to Thrive series. I'm going to have my financial advisor join me because I know in these very tough times, people are concerned about their finances, right? So I'm going to have him join, and we'll be talking about, how to manage finances, your financial situation right now, not to do anything, not to jump and do anything too fast, and also talk about retirement planning for those of you who are interested in that. Y'all, what I want to do is set you all up for success. It's good to just start thinking about these things. And I know a lot of you have already done that and may have had plans in terms of, again, your health, your finances, career, and this topic, like I said, mental health. So next topic is around finances. So March 20th, save the date, and we'll be posting a guest flyer within the next 2 weeks. Okay. Take care, everybody.